All right, you do the introduction.
Okay, welcome everybody to another of our new sessions called Foolish Tech Hour. What is it called?
Show.
Foolish Tech Show. Sorry,
Literally
Foolish
just told him this, not even 5 seconds
Foolish
ago.
Tech Show. Well, we've changed the name quite a few times, everyone. So I'm sure you're used to bearing with us. But we've basically got here an hour lined up, as much as an hour potentially lined up to discuss a few things on a daily basis. There's a different host every day, and depending upon the conversation and the how much participation there is from everyone else out there, we may last even longer, or just depending. But we don't want to waste your time, and we don't want to waste our time. We're all very busy these days.
Where,
So,
where's everyone else out there?
where is everyone else out there? Well, I'm not sure. I'll go figure that out in just a second. Actually, that's probably a real good thing to know.
Join us
Um,
in the live chat at foolishit.com
slash
slash live.
live, foolishit.com/live. Our schedule is also posted there. So if you want to see the days when we're operating, I believe it's 6 on Mondays, 10 on or 8 on Mondays, 10 on Tuesdays. What is it? 2 on Wednesdays, and then 2, 4, 6.
Uh, 8 Monday, 10 today, 2 tomorrow, 4 Thursdays, and 6 on Fridays.
Okay, so exactly what I just said, eh?
Yes.
Hey.
Can
I
everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Hey.
some issues.
okay. I didn't just try to go Canadian on anyone out there, but I like to make sure things are communicated effectively. Okay, so we have no one here, do we?
Well, we have some good questions that are in there, and that's good.
We have some good
Yeah.
questions, but this was from yesterday, was it?
Yeah, but PhilThex will probably watch the show later, so go ahead and
That
answer
makes
his.
sense. Okay, so we're going through our chat again. You can share this with us at foolishit.com/live if you would like to participate. Obviously, be aware that there is a little bit of delay in the airtime with the Google Hangouts. So, if you type something, we might there might be a delay in responding, but it's reasonable and it's effectively real time. So, I hope you will join us. So let's see the questions.
I'll set up my thing so that.
So, can CryptoPrevent block emails coming to Outlook? So, this gets back to exactly how CryptoPrevent works. It is based upon software restriction policy, so this is not going to affect emails that are coming into Outlook. However, the software restriction policies will affect attachments and other things downloaded and transmitted to your computer. So, for instance, if there is an email with an infected attachment, and this attachment is then, let's say, inside of a zip file, and that's extracted and attempted to be run as would commonly do by a user. CryptoPrevent would block that if it's set up to do so. There are various protected locations which can be configured, and it's totally under the user's control for that, or the administrator if you're mass deploying it. And it will protect against those types of things. But remember, the goal of CryptoPrevent is not it's not a mail filter per se. It is maybe an executable application filter to some extent, meaning that it will monitor any file on the computer that could potentially be executed, and also from from protected locations where really there shouldn't be any executable files whatsoever, at least not according to Microsoft and security go-to people, I guess you could say. But just because it doesn't scan email directly does not mean it doesn't afford you protection when working with email. Brantley, is that about right? Would you say my description of that?
Yeah, that was pretty good. Basically, no, it doesn't block emails coming into Outlook. That's not what it does.
The question was, can CryptoPrevent block emails coming to Outlook? And I mean, no, it does not block emails going into Outlook. But if you're narrowing it down to talk about extensions and or excuse me, attachments rather, files that could be transmitted to your computer and ultimately affect you, then yes, it does have a role in that, but not directly with Outlook. And remember, it's based upon Microsoft software restriction policies. So these policies typically, since they're always in effect on your system, whether they're blocking something or not, they in and of themselves should not provide any incompatibility with any program. However, of course, if an application is prevented from running a part of itself as a result of CryptoPrevent's protections, then yes, there could be interaction. But no memory footprint, no running process, no resources effectively. I think it's a pretty good deal for the peace of mind and for the actual protection it affords. And you can talk to our 1 million+ customers to confirm that. What was the other question?
From PhilTex.
Anyone around join us tomorrow? Have a stupid oh, the dSS one. Okay. Deleting some apps on the custom apps for automatic maintenance list and adding some others, but the ones I am deleting reappear when I save. Okay, so that means what? That he's not updating his list to the server?
Well, no, he's saying when he saves, it's doing it. So let's test that here. So we have some things in the automatic maintenance. We're gonna go ahead and delete them.
Delete them. Okay.
Proctor, your keyboard is really loud.
Didn't we test this the other day, Brantley?
sorry,
Or wasn't custom apps went over the other day in DSS?
It was, but let's try this specific issue right
Oh,
here.
maybe we can point him to the show as well that covers that.
Yeah, you can.
So, PhilTex, we had a show on, when was it, Monday? No, it was Friday. Yeah, sorry, Friday show. And it was completely talked about from beginning to end about dSS, including the custom apps and virtually every other part about it. We even learned some new things here, so I think it would be very beneficial to you to take a look at that, and that might go into some more detail into some other areas, even if you don't currently have questions with them. It might help congeal your thoughts on the matter.
But it didn't cover this specific question, so...
No, it did not. No, it did not, but we're going to do that right now.
I did just go through and delete all of the apps from the automatic maintenance and saved it.
Yep. So there's no apps in the list.
It does look like it did delete them.
Okay, so then we're opening it back up.
And let's make a new app.
Still not there. Okay. Let's see here. And it doesn't give any details about anything that he did, so just a test app should be fine for this. Now, what would happen if you left some of those critical fields blank? It would still save, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it saved there.
There's the new one. And there it is. Okay, so that appears to be working. Add another one, would you? And why don't you... Ooh, I would have left like one from the beginning and added another one rather than
Let's try
defaults.
just downloading the default
Yeah,
apps.
that's fine. Yeah, do that. Just do what he, try to maybe do a similar thing to what he may have done. All right, so everything.
So that's weird. They appear to be saving PhilTex, so I'm not sure exactly what you're running into there.
There's not a problem. Could this be an issue with his, communication? If it's not being able to communicate with his FTP site or our site?
No, because everything in this window is saved on the local computer. So if we go to...
But the default apps list would be coming from our server, right?
The downloading the default apps would be, but
the actual apps are just saved locally here.
Yeah, they're saved in program data, Foolish IT, dSupport Management Console, local configs.
So, I mean, some possibility would be is if you don't have write access to where you're executing DSS from, that would certainly probably produce some odd results. There we go. No. What are you
Nick,
looking for?
where are those custom maps saved so that we could delete them by hand?
Man, I was just doing something else, and I don't know what you're talking about. What app are we in?
Oh, DSS, dude.
dSupportSuite. So FilthX is saying he's having an issue where in custom apps he adds some and or deletes some and they reappear for him.
Yeah.
I vaguely, this sounds vaguely familiar to me.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna show him where in program data that was stored.
See,
So that
download default apps. But yeah,
we just went through and added some, deleted some, and they all stayed as is. So
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
not
so
sure
we
what he
basically
was.
couldn't reproduce the behavior, but
well, look in the open up templates. You were just gonna have to browse because I really don't remember.
It's too early. I didn't even think about templates. That's what I was looking for, actually.
okay, here we go, folks.
Main apps.
Yeah.
There we
so
go.
You can delete the config straight out of here.
Okay, so FilthX, if you wanted
hang on. They may actually be created there at some point too. Back out of that templates folder and then go to open up. I don't know. Let's try. Well, local configs will have everything for your. Open that up. That should have all of your different client IDs, so there'll also be a copy of them in there for one thing. But I think there's also a source directory. I think there's also a source directory as well.
Oh, that's kind
that
of
they're copied from when you create a new template.
Maybe we should just do all of our shows on DSS.
You can do. You can just search for asterisk.cfg and we'll see what turns up. But because they'll all be named with that extension. Bless you.
Yeah, bless you, Johnny.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the crew here. I haven't introduced everyone, but of course
That
we
wasn't
have.
me.
Oh, sorry.
That was me.
I was gonna say I recognize that sneeze, and that was Proctor.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's coming through the wrong mic too.
That's his sneeze, so everyone get familiar
That's
with that.
his old grandma sneeze.
We, of course, you'll remember from yesterday's host, Brantley, and our chief operating officer, and Proctor is our CFO. Then we have Johnny. Johnny's the pretty one. And then we have Nick. You should all remember Nick from
and Brantley.
From our
it looks like I'm mistaken on that. It looks like that's it.
Yeah, well, and I was actually going to say, FilthX, if you do have a CFG that's causing problems for you, I'm not sure about the adding portion, that there's something weird going on there, and maybe we'll catch you at a different time. I know you're able to join the later ones since you're in Greece, so maybe we'll see you later this week.
We'll discuss
the
this
good news.
in
The good news
detail.
is the first thing that gets done with that, and in the management console, particularly as the configuration is shifted to that actual binary, you can take comfort in knowing that the custom app system will be completely replaced with the same custom app system that. Is either the same custom app system that's in d7ii currently, or the one that I'm going to replace it with in d7x, which is probably what it's going to be.
So once you get comfortable with it, we'll completely change it.
FilthX. But in the meantime,
Wait! Let me finish my sentence, because this might actually help him from the deleting one. Do what we did here. Go to Program Data, Foolish IT, dSupportSuite Management Console, search for star CFG, and remove them manually if you're not able to delete them otherwise from any of these locations. Obviously, if you know the name of your CFG, go ahead and search for that specifically and remove that. But that would be where.
Keep in mind, though, I think
that's what I was going to do. Just reiterate that process to him.
yeah, make sure you don't have any for custom buttons. Click on that. I don't see why. Yeah, the custom buttons. The
on
in
the
the
on the console.
yeah in the config
Oh,
of
this.
the app. Yeah. Now
No, on the left.
he did. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, don't delete that if you're using them there.
So yeah, if you're using these in one of your custom buttons, you
Don't
can't
delete them.
delete them from this one. But he did say specifically the automated maintenance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he did say that.
now,
But I'm saying make sure not to delete a profile that is used for that purpose from the file system. That's an issue.
okay.
So what we're gonna and the thing I was saying before was the consolation prize is that it will be way easier to mess with the new custom app system. It'll be universally compatible with that in D7. So
Well, you can look forward to some big improvements there, Phil. But we'll
way
work with you
big
if you'd like to
improvement in the configuration and the user interface in that. Way
as
big.
well. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. But if you'd like to get together with us at a later show, at a later date that's more convenient for you, we do want to pick that up. And if we could work with you on the air during the show to get it resolved, because odds are somebody else out there could be having the problem, whatever your situation is, it could be similar. So we would love to have you participate in that. I want to get through the rest of the introductions, so everyone knows Nick, of course, and then we have Tank, our tank commander, and myself, Michael. I'm the DJ for today.
And you have a
Watts
birthday coming up next year, don't you?
Oh yeah. Yes, every year I've been fortunate enough to be blessed with a birthday.
When was that again? August what?
It was some month and some year. I can't remember the details of it, but
22nd or 27th?
I don't 23rd. I don't know. It could be any one of those. In fact, I have so many brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews. I don't have any sisters. I just lied. But nieces and nephews that and extended family that August is almost completely filled up in my family. I don't know what people were doing, but
so it is definitely August.
In Thanksgiving. No, I'm just saying we have a lot of August in there. But anyway, why am I talking about that? I keep getting lost with Brantley. Brantley has a bad influence on me, so if there's a delay or a problem in the show and you don't like it, you can blame him. Or us working together, but either way, it's exciting.
All right.
So the rest of the show should be debug, is what we were going to focus on, correct?
That's what you wanted to focus on, host, so go ahead.
Okay. Well, you mind sharing your screen and getting it up for me? I have a debug system, but it's not infected. Do you have one that is? Because that's really good for showing it off that way. But basically, debug. Let me intro it while he looks into that, if possible. But debug is basically a tool. We realize that there's some cases where, depending upon the level of infection or other problems with a particular system, primarily malware though, you can't get d7ii to run. And so we developed, Nick, of course, developed debug as a simple way to prevent everything on a computer from running except what's in the folder debug is run from. This will just necessarily kill out all malware. But because it's such a drastic change and it could potentially prevent even legitimate programs from running, it basically just allows the base Windows setup to run and then whatever's in the debug folder. But basically, if you were to not undo it, there would be some complications. So I'll go through that in detail. But basically, it's a very powerful tool to allow you to get a tool like d7ii or something else running so you can clean a system up more effectively. It's a great way to remove malware instantaneously from a computer, but you will have to go back and clean up the registry still and do those things. But if you just want to turn off an infection, debug is the route to go.
Unless it's in the Windows folder.
Well, okay, yes, if it's in the Windows folder, but you can take some additional steps along with debug too.
And certain other folders that need to be
certain other critical folders, but in my experience,
Windows as well.
in my experience, the malware would have to be extremely tricky in order to get around it, and even then, there are ways to circumvent those specific cases. So, and the goal is for you to get into something like d7ii or whatever other tool you might want to run to repair the system, or you could do it manually after you run debug. But honestly, I don't see the point. Hopefully we'll have an infected machine up to really show you that. So, kind of like a real life scenario of debug. But basically, I'll share my screen.
I got it coming.
Oh, it's coming? Okay.
I think.
All right, then just wait a few more minutes. But it's really an invaluable tool.
Hey, speaking of debug.
Speaking of, you gonna build that into something else now?
KillEmAll version 5.
KillEmAll version 5, folks, will also have debug's functionality in it. So, very powerful tool we'll have coming out soon.
And I can show you a little bit about KillEmAll version 5 if you want to see it right now.
He loves to talk about, fine, go right ahead. That'll give Brantley enough time to get that VM set up. And, yeah, let us know what's to come and what you're combining in that, and maybe a hint or an idea about future pricing or how the licensing up and how that's going to go.
I don't know about all that, but let me just show you.
Whatever you'd like to share.
Let me show you what's up at the moment. Yeah. So actually, from right to let me start from left to right. I have a new KillEmAll interface. Among the items that you'll see in this column would be the process ID of the executable, just some technical details, the path that it's running from, and the command line that it started in. In addition to the result, whether it was killed, whether it was successfully, or whether I failed to kill it, or it was failed to be terminated, or if it was killed and then it restarted by some other means, by another program, or if it was a service or something like that. So I also have the output in the top, which will just tell you what that is, and that'll be neat. And I'm simplifying the interface of actually everything. You'll notice this one button with the little drop down here will pretty much change depending on which tab that you're on. You can see here where I've separated the items that have been whitelisted and skipped. But the button will change its functionality with each tab, so we don't have just like buttons all over the place, and just another way to reduce the clutter of the interface, and it can also and confusion as well.
So you've since we even talked, you've made some changes here since last we spoke. Yeah. Wow, that's impressive.
I've got I have and even to the terminology, for example. Instead of whitelisting, it's called allow programs to run, and this is, trying
to simplify. We really are. We're trying to simplify.
And I'm trying to be specific, because I also have prevent programs from running, and I have remove programs and then uninstall in parentheses. This is your de-uninstaller replifement.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
that
prevent programs would kind of be similar to what, like IFO?
IFEO modifier, maybe with some, it's kind of a replacement for IFEO modifier. It will use it in some circumstances, but in other circumstances it would use software restriction policies, like CryptoPrevent.
Excellent. So a combination of things in these tabs. So really we're getting down to what the functionality is versus breaking it apart, as opposed to like a d7ii tool, which would present those things in a more technical manner to the technician that's repairing. This could be potentially accessible to a less well-trained individual. Is that correct?
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what I'm going for. Right. You'll notice that it's very descriptive, but it's still using very simple words, like simple terminology, so people have probably heard before. trying to stick with that anyway.
This will ultimately replace a couple of products and bring a new feature set to a tool which I think has a good branding. It has a good existing branding, so I think it's a great move. I would love to hear feedback. I know right now it's a little bit quiet out there since we don't have any guests currently. Now it's a little bit early for Tuesday, but we did have some guests yesterday, so I'm thinking.
You know what? I want to let you go on with this debug thing, but I want to come back to this later if you can reserve a little time, and I'll talk a little more about how this is going to fit into D7X and also maybe our licensing, because right now we're actually looking at three different tiers of license, but. Yeah, we'll move on.
Whatever you feel like, whatever you feel like sharing.
I mean, of course, a free edition, but there will probably be a slight. Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
As everyone knows, there's always free versions of our products. But thank you, Brantley. Please bring us.
Hold on. I have one thing for Nick on this, just to keep in mind for us to talk about later at that time.
Okay.
There was a Technibble post that actually asked, "Will the new dUninstaller have profiles?"
I am answering that post at the moment.
Oh, awesome. Well, so you're thinking about that already.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
But to answer the question, dUninstaller being now part of KillEmAll version 5, and again, it's something I can talk more about later. But yes, there will be in the top tier edition. We'll have the ability to create and switch profiles, in addition to being able to update those automatically from like a server or something you're hosting, on your website or whatever.
What definitions, eh?
Yes, exactly.
Nice. So there's going to be that for everyone. So we're and is that a current feature of dUninstaller, those profiles in the paid version, effectively? Or?
It was a planned feature. I don't think it ever made it in there. No, it didn't. It did not make it into the current.
So this is going to be a big release, this KillEmAll version 5. I think a lot of groups out there, a lot of our subpopulations, anyone who's used some of the things in D7.2, anyone who's used dUninstaller, going to be very interested in what we have here.
Since we're talking about it, I might as well go ahead and just finish. There's only a few more things to say about it at the moment, but
why not?
By the way, we do have a viewer this early in the morning, and just so they can know, if you join us at foolishit.com/live, if you're not already watching us there, you can join the live chat and talk directly to us.
Yeah, ask us questions.
Yeah, I was. That's why I was just looking in the chat. Yeah, please join the chat. Even if you don't intend to interact much, it'll just allow us to keep you in mind, and and we like to hear feedback. We don't have to focus too much on the individuals, but any questions, any concerns, any just random topics that of interest, please feel free to share.
We may even start renaming the show different names with each host. So
that would be interesting.
Well, no, and I could talk about that too, but before I do, the name of the show as part of the time format is an attempt to be more business here.
Yeah, that's what I told Michael too. So.
And and not sound as foolish.
Something I want to bring that up. Because we had
we came up with a newer Flash name. It was the Foolish Tech Fun Hour.
Yeah, the Foolish Tech Fun Hour. But
the fun is not the business.
Just understand, we don't always put, we don't always intermingle
and you can't
the
put
two.
hour in it either. I like show.
Please
so
understand.
Because if you put hour in it, then people are automatically going to think that we're going for another all-day show, like before, because we don't.
DJs,
that's how we roll.
Talk more than anyone else when they're.
Not when they have complicated guests like
No,
this.
and before we even go any further, this KillEmAll V5 release is going to be part of D7X and D7.2. It'll be the first thing out for D7.2 subscribers, since D7X will be released in phases. So, all right, let's go and finish arguing about the title of the show.
As long as we don't call ourselves a podcast, I'm fine with whatever we call it. I like show. I think
How
show's
about
fun.
Foolish
I actually have
IT
always
Tech
hated.
Show?
Now
I,
we're not offering new names,
this
Doctor.
brings up
We're
a
just
good
arguing about the ones we have.
That brings up a good
Yeah.
point, and I just want to reiterate to everybody out there, all of our subscription services offer complete branding so that the foolish, nobody needs to know.
Not complete.
Call.
Not complete. Not complete.
It is complete. In what?
Digital. You cannot brand the digital. You can't brand the digital the digital.
The digital
on the
signature. The
executable
digital
files,
signature.
so that
on the
UAC
executable file.
prompt is always going to say Foolish IT LLC. It's not going to say something other than that, though. It's going to say Foolish IT LLC. It won't be like, well, whatever. But and it'll say the program name too. You can't change those things on a digital signature. If you could, it defeats the purpose of it being a secure digital signature.
UAC, okay. So you got a UAC prompt. I think those go by so quick, though, that I don't really think a customer's really going to be.
Well, and the way even with
Johnny, you'll need to answer that in about 10
okay,
seconds.
Go for it. Do it, and I will continue. Even with products like your dSupportSuite deployments that you may have branded, resell the white label resellers of CryptoPrevent that got white label when that was out. That was those are things that when you say this is your software, if you've branded it like, hey, this is us, we did this. Where's the shame in saying, oh, this software was made to our specifications, but it was actually created by a specialist company that we contracted to make it for us. That we paid. Because essentially that's exactly what you did. And wouldn't the people feel better knowing that a tech took their tech expertise and applied it to a professional software developer instead of trying to tech it themselves?
Well, and I like the route of I don't think we have any issues telling all of your customers that it's your software, but if you're talking to other tech shops, then let them know that it's Foolish IT software.
Oh yeah.
Customers, they barely they're not going to talk to you for more than 2 minutes about the software.
Yeah, well, they don't care anyway. They really don't care. Most of them, I think. I think some of them really, the ones that do really care, but the ones that don't, I think outnumber them. But you're still going to get so much from the ones that do that it's really important to. What were we talking about?
The name and branding and who's has you. We were actually talking about the show name, but did we want to go ahead and finish up KillEmAll, or do we want to show off dBug? Because I have a virus system running on my.
I think I have completely even finished KillEmAll off. I think I have.
Talking or working?
Talking.
All right. So.
Oh wait, no, I haven't. I was very vague on it, and actually, we can just talk about this right now if it's okay.
I'm fine with it.
Because I wanted your feedback on the actual the features and the additions of the KillEmAll v5, and I wanted Proctor's feedback as well, and he's the one that actually, to me, had or voiced the idea that I heard first about a different edition of it, about a CryptoPrevent-ish, home user-ish edition of it. So let me see what I got, because I had some thoughts to run by you. The free edition of KillEmAll will do no more and no less than the free edition of KillEmAll does now, which is the only edition of KillEmAll, and the at least the standalone, the one, not the one included DSM2, of course, but which is just kill processes and report on what it did. The de-uninstaller functionality inside KillEmAll v5 would also do exactly what the free version of dUninstaller did, which is just uninstall the apps. I don't even think it had rules. I don't think you could save the rules. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to double check on that. But I'm thinking no. I'm thinking no saving the rules in the free edition. I'm thinking you just can use it and see how it would work.
For dUninstaller?
Yeah. Or if you want to create a batch, like a rule set, like a temporary one, just like drag and drop the currently installed to a queue, and do that a couple of times manually. If you want to do that every time, then that probably yes. But beyond that, no saving of a definition file is what I'm saying in the free edition of any definition, even the whitelisting of KillEmAll, which is.
I'll have it booted up here in a second. I can tell you.
Okay. Premium edition. I wanted to do all of the saving of definitions so you could transfer those to different systems and everything. I wanted to add in the capability of preventing programs from running, and a scheduler to automate some tasks like that, and some related tasks. And then I wanted to do a tech/scripting edition for our tech customers, which then brings in the full dUninstaller functionality as it is now, taking it a little better and cleaning it up a lot. The registry and file deletion routines and all that good stuff. Also, the command line scripting. We'll contact Tim at squattingdog.net development, and we'll talk to him about his lab tech plugin for dUninstaller and getting that fitted for KillEmAll v5, or working with him on a new one, because then who knows, he may have a lot of work to do that. Actually it will, to implement newer features. But there's some probably integration that we can do there, maybe, making that easier for people to configure. We'll see. I also wanted to add the server update of your definitions. That would, which was the previous comment that I had, and profiles, basically different profiles. Making the tech scripting edition, the thing that I wanted to do, of course, there is, of course, existing users of dUninstaller, owners of that license, would get the tech scripting edition. You keep your dUninstaller product key and just plug it into the tech scripting edition. In fact, I'll probably put a browse button in there that'll just let you browse for the dUninstaller.ini file. But with all the new functionality, I do feel that and the work, I do feel that being a one-time purchase, since we're moving to subscription-based sales and software as a service, since we're moving to that with all of our products that we can, in order to keep KillEmAll v5, I think we still need a one-time standalone product purchase, and keeping KillEmAll v5 that way would be kind of neat. But it would have to be more expensive than the dUninstaller is now, like by a bit.
I was muted, but I agree.
Awesome.
I agree.
Awesome. Great. Awesome. And what do you think about the feature separation?
I mean, that's pretty much similar to what we talked about last night, and I'm still on board with that, so I concur.
The only thing I would caution against would be having so many editions that people get confused as to what everything is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, the free edition is just the free. I mean, you
Right.
can't really be confused there. I mean, and the other two is just premium, I guess, for your home users. I don't know if we can word that differently.
I mean, I think the home wording is good.
Because I really like Text Scripting Edition. I don't think that's going to really confuse anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Also, being a one-time purchase, though, I'm being realistic about it. It's a one-time. I want this to be a one-time purchase for sure, but in being realistic about the effort involved in updates and fixes and everything else. This is like I want to go like TeamViewer, and this is the license you buy is for KillEmAll version 5.x period.
Mm-hmm.
Now I could probably rock version 5, and I'll be more realistic about a new version. It won't be like version 6 will be out, next month or even next year like TeamViewer probably. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't think I'll have that kind of time. I think I'll still be just making, improvements on the existing one. But I mean, who knows what the foreseeable future is, and that's exactly what I just want to plan for. So, I mean, and there may be if I roll over to the point where I just have to up the version number to 6 just because it's itching me, or I get that too many numbers under the belt, then we'll just have that as a free update. It's not a big deal. We'll just say, hey, here. But yeah, this would be for a major version purchase, one-time purchase.
Okay.
Just so you know, in your planning there, the free deuninstaller, you can save your uninstall, whitelist, and blacklist definitions, not save your registry or file system definitions.
I'm going to let that be. I'm going to let that slide. That can go. I don't care.
Okay.
Because the tech people, the techs who pay for it get it all. So that's how it's going to be here. The techs who pay for it get it all, and not the others.
Yeah, and that's how it should be.
Or the premium, the people who pay for it get it all, or get what was appropriate. So I didn't want to save KillEmAll defs either, and I know the free version lets you do that.
I would at least save the whitelist.
Well, that's exactly what it is KillEmAll's a whitelist, but I don't want people to save the whitelist. It's a panic button. I mean, really, who needs to be that picky? People who are doing whitelists are really. It needs to be. I think that needs to be premium. Whitelist needs to be premium.
Well, I mean, if they
because that allows that to be scheduled, which is a premium feature, which is one of the.
Well, my concern is if they want to panic, but they don't want to close out their Word document.
They need to save their Word document first.
But if they can't get to their Word document because something's interfering with that ability to do stuff other than get to KillEmAll.
How could they get to KillEmAll and not the Word document?
I don't know, ways. I'm sure there's cases like that, and that's my only concern is that they won't use KillEmAll because they know it will kill something that they have open that they can't get to.
Mm-hmm.
Like if a pop-up that they can't close is right over the close button for Word, they're not going to be able to stop save Word or something. Maybe it's right over the save button, something like that.
Well, maybe I add Word to the internal whitelist. Maybe that's just one of the improvements I can add to the internal whitelist, because that's what the internal whitelist is for.
Yeah, but I mean, I would think you would want to include Word in getting killed. It's just, like, I'm just saying some people, and that was just a random example. Maybe QuickBooks is what they want, or maybe they find one of their database applications doesn't like getting closed.
Mm-hmm. So maybe they decide to purchase the premium edition to enable said functionality.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't even think.
I'm just
discussions for me.
I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I feel like there has to be. I mean, why does there have to be? We'll talk on that more actually, because you might convince me still. Oh, oh. How about I didn't talk about this. I didn't talk about this, but there were I was adding a new type of whitelist to KillEmAll. How about I just make the new type? It's like a search or a path-based whitelist. The old one is exact process names only. How about I do that?
Sorry, Johnny was asking me a question about the call she's on. What?
I so thought you were just sitting there being pissed about how I was.
And I wanted to interrupt her, but she was like, "I'm on a phone call."
Okay, I was saying that you may be able to convince me otherwise, and then it just occurred to me that I'm interested that the existing whitelisting in KillEmAll is exact process name only with file extension.
Yeah.
I have a string search whitelist that I'm adding that will work with paths and other things to the new version that I could reserve that for the premium only.
Well, now, I mean, and like I said, I wasn't clearly thinking, and I wasn't even understanding you were talking about the free version on keeping the whitelisting for that side of things, and in that case, like I do kind of feel you're right that if they want the ability to not close certain things, that should be a premium feature. So
okay.
Everything that you said is fine.
Oh. Okay, well, how about this, since I'm still confused as to what you really think. Proctor, what's going on? What do you think? This is why we're talking. This is why I'm glad we're talking about this, and if whoever's watching has an opinion, just let us know. I mean, I know the popular opinion is make everything free, but it doesn't pay to do that generally when you need to pay other people to live, like bill collectors and whatnot. So.
And that makes the software worse for wear.
Yeah. What makes the software worse for wear?
If you're not paying for it, like name one free software that's continued.
Oh yeah, they all go pay. Yeah, malware buys and everybody else, and they went paid, and then they were like, then they took away the lifetime, and they got subscription now, right? It's subscription. Well, it's annual, whatever. So if it's not a right out subscription, it might as well be. But yeah,
and it's not because we don't want to be able to do that. It's just that it's impossible to be able to do that, and.
I know, because like when you have a decent product, it gets decent usage, and then you have a decent amount of support to take care of, and other things, and sales, and all kinds of crazy stuff, and then employees, and then I'm still overwhelmed and shocked at that happening to our company. But
how is support handled for free KillEmAll now?
It's not. There isn't any.
There is no support for it.
Well,
okay, so support would be.
But if someone asks us a question, we're going to answer it. I mean, what do? You can't,
Right now, it falls under our free support that goes through email or the ticket system forums.
Okay.
So there is support for it. It's just it goes under our free support only. If somebody wanted to pay for the premium support for it, I'm sure we would spend an hour with them doing that too. So.
Oh yeah.
That our support is, and although apparently it confuses a lot of people for some unknown reason, our support is pretty simplified. If you want free support and you don't care about urgency of response time, then you can use our email support@foolishtech.com or foolishit.com, foolishtech@foolishit.com, sales@foolishit.com. You can email any of those. You can go to our support portal at support.foolishit.com, create an account and create a ticket there, and you can also join the forums from there as well. So.
And any post in the forums there also creates a ticket
Yeah,
in our queue.
all of those are free options, and the premium option is you can buy an hour of tech-to-tech support time on our site under the support options. I believe it's Get Help. And then you can ask us questions about anything. I mean, it doesn't even have to be about our software at that time. You have extremely qualified technicians here that can help you on any kind of computer problem, and as we all have learned in our time working together and in the industry, it's a common fact that sometimes you need a second pair of eyes on difficult problems because you've just stared at it for so long and you've been down so many paths that you're not sure where to go next, and someone coming in fresh that can assist helps out a lot. So with those, we'll help you on all of our software, any of your setups, customizing it for you specifically, remoting in and working directly with you, and then it can be, like I said, on any kind of problem. It doesn't just have to be our software. Or if you just want to talk to us for an hour, parents, some of us are good therapists as well. So. It's a fairly simple support options, I feel, but just to reiterate them again, and yeah, so that's where our support is at for the free version of KillEmAll right now. The reason Nick said there isn't any support is because we don't get any questions on it. I mean, it just kills processes and they close out of it. So
yeah,
I'm thinking that the freezer version should continue to have the same features that it has now and not any new functionality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about the whitelist. I'm gonna have to think about that.
I don't see, like you said, I don't see any like if someone's using the free version and they are just trying to kill processes, they don't need any customization ability. They're just trying to kill processes quickly and for free.
Yeah, I agree. I think the whitelisting should
If they
be.
want to only kill certain processes and not certain other ones, that's what the premium version's for.
I agree.
It seems reasonable. Reasonable. So, all right. Do we have more on that?
Oh, on the KillEmAll thing?
Yeah. Do you understand now?
I do. I do. We'll talk more later after the show about the. I had some thoughts on pricing, but it's not worth, right now.
On answering a question.
I am finishing up that post on Technibble. Let me see.
Michael, are you there?
Oh, yes. Hello. Just hung up off the phone. I love talking to customers. This was an interesting story I'd like to share with everyone out there. So we had a tech who actually purchased d7ii for themselves, then went to work for this company. And they saw d7ii, and they saw the tech, and they saw this tech become their best tech. So they were they wanted it, and they purchased it as well. They had a little bit of account mix-up I had to square away because somebody was still using some old credentials and some other things. I got that all squared away, so there was a little bit of a account management issue. But the cool thing was that again, that their business was so dependent upon it, and what happened recently was their copy stopped working because of the credential mix-up. And they were very dependent upon it, so she was calling on their behalf, and I couldn't, share both credentials with her or whatever, but they're going to be calling me back. He's apparently on a has a personal trip or something like that, but he's going to call me back in the morning. But what I'm saying is we spread the word. A tech who was exposed to D7ii brought it to a new business. I mean, oh my gosh. And then they immediately saw the benefit of it, and now they can't basically go without it. So I just thought that was a real nice story. And I like to hear things about that because it is a very powerful tool. It will distinguish you from the guy down the block doing the same thing that you're doing as a tech. And it makes you stand out, and it can bring a lot of value to a business, so much so that this woman has effectively been elevated from a tech to essentially a partner in the business as a result of the contribution of D7ii.
Wow.
That's awesome. So I have my door open right now, and Destiny is sitting like at the screen door, and her entire body is shaking because she wants to jump out and run and catch whatever she sees right now. But she knows that she's not allowed to open the screen door by herself, so
But I really want to.
she's freaking out to get out there, but she's a good puppy, right?
So what did I miss? Did we talk about KillEmAll, or did we talk about dBug, or what did we talk about?
I
We
left
talked
too
about
because
KillEmAll.
I had a phone call.
We talked about KillEmAll.
Yeah, y'all
Feature set. We talked about the feature set.
can watch it after the show. So we do still have a few minutes here on our hour. Let's go ahead and do the debug thing since we talked about that at the beginning. So I do have a infected system here. You can see all these wonderful, lovely infection icons.
Yes, you've done a good job of that.
This thing pops up automatically. You can also see some of the items down here.
Very nasty.
Tray.
Very nasty.
So we do have a few things running on the system.
Pull up Task Manager if you could, or can we see just an idea of all the craziness we've gotten there?
Not much on that side.
I'm just wondering if you could pick out some tasks that are.
What, like Pluto TV?
Yeah.
The biggest ones. But a lot of these other ones, like you see in the system tray here, are not showing up. Like this one and this one are not showing up in Task Manager that I pick out easily.
No, but they could be in there. I'm not sure.
So I've entered my Foolish IT flash drive in here.
Oh, dude, the two. Oh, was that?
We have debug in here. So we're going to go ahead and open and extract this.
What version is that?
This is the one that's available on the site for download.
Are you what?
It's version 2. Yeah. So if we go ahead and run it here.
Yes. Now you'll see. Now occasionally, it doesn't do anything, depending upon the level of the infection. You might have to click it a couple of times before it kicks in. But once it does, it will immediately restart the computer, and so you'll know you've successfully activated it if the computer restarts. And then what you'll see upon restarting, Brantley will describe to you.
Brantley, this is what you should see in the archive for debug.
It only had the exe and the PE thing in there. We'll go back and look at it after we ran it.
This is the top one is a PIF, by the way.
Yeah, it's a PIF.
PIF, as we talked about that the other day, remember?
Yep. So now we can see debug is active, and not to forget to run the debug undo command, and we'll show you that here once we pull it back up here after you remove the malware in order to restore Windows settings to normal. Now, what this means with debug being active is, first, you can see down here we don't have any of those other applications in our system tray. Well, you might not be able to see it because our faces might be covering it.
We don't have the window. that was popping up the Pluto TV.
We don't
or
have
whatever it
Pluto
was.
TV running, and also we can see that it's not running in the system task manager anymore.
Very good.
Now,
So a non-infected system now.
but
Hey, can I just ask you a question real quick?
yeah,
Your folder, debug folder,
mhm.
did the archive, was that batch file what was that named?
WinPE something.
Okay, all right, it was the underscore WinPE. Okay, well, at least that's right.
Yeah. But you can see here when you try to run a program like Internet Explorer, this program is blocked by group policy. Contact your administrator. We don't have to contact them because we know this person. If you try to run any program, it's not going to be able to run. It's all going to get that same
restricted, and that's basically how it works. So those mechanisms are what has prevented all those things from running, basically. So it's a very powerful approach to that, but that's one.
Yeah.
That's why the undo has to be performed, basically.
Yeah.
Obviously, this would not be a system that you could just use after this. So there does need to be some cleanup action, but
I would like to point out too that this is a shortcut to File Explorer, so that's why you get this message.
Yeah.
If you actually need to go to File Explorer to get to the folder where you can run things from, you'll go to your computer.
That's a good
Or
point.
you'll just run it from your d7ii because you're probably using that, right?
Yeah. Well, if you are using d7ii, this is using the free one. So
yeah,
we go into our
to point out though, this
one.
functionality is obviously completely built into d7ii. This is not anything extra you need to add on to it. It's just go to your d7ii folder and it's right in there in the root.
So this is where you can run the debug undo command that was mentioned before, so the same folder that you ran debug from. Also, it's good to note that the only programs that you're going to be able to run are ones that are in this folder. So whatever folder you ran and any of the subfolders in there are going to be able to be executed. We'll show you that here by grabbing this deinstaller.
So effectively, you want to put your removal tools or whatever it is in the same folder, assuming you're using the free version of debug. If you wanted to execute something, you need to understand this. This is a critical part here, but you'll see once you run this, as he's going to do there.
So first, I want to show you that this one is not in the folder.
Not in the safe folder, so it will not run. Yep.
So it's not going to run. If we go back to the safe folder, so now we're under the debug folder where we ran debug, and we execute our tool here.
Oh, look at that.
It will allow it to run. So this is how you can use your other tools to be able to clean the malware, auto runs, malware bytes, anything of that nature. You can use to remove your tools, work with them, clean up malware, remove things, do what you need to do. Then once you have the system as cleaned up so that it's not starting all those things up at the beginning, not causing a problem, you can come back and do debug undo. And when you run that, it's going to tell you it's undone and you'll need to reboot. So you go ahead and reboot.
And you'll be infected again.
Yeah, and since we didn't remove any of the malware, we will be infected again, but the protections will be removed. I also like to mention that this does work in safe mode as well, so if you run it from safe mode, it will still work the same way when you boot into normal mode, or vice versa. If you run it from normal mode, when you boot into safe mode, those protections will still be applied until you run the debug undo command. Even further, if you have a system that can't boot or just takes forever to boot and you don't want to wait on it, you can boot into a Windows PE environment and use that Windows PE CMD that's included in that archive to be able to run and pick the offline partition and then apply those protections to an offline Windows system, and then when you boot that system, it'll have those protections applied and ready for you to go.
Oh, that can be.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, that can be useful. I don't normally consider that. I don't
Yeah.
normally consider that that scenario either, but because it's rare that you know, can't boot at all or you don't want to wait.
And
But it is
the,
valuable.
the way the
I'm
Win
actually, I'm actually sitting here thinking that that goes right perfect with the locksmith tool. I'm talking
Yeah.
about consolidating all of the tools in D7X that are just nice, neat internal functions that you never knew existed unless you really went exploring. Um, I think that needs to be together too because it's just
And
an offline tool. It's just an
and I
offline
think
tool
we
that you would
should
then
develop.
install onto the system.
We should probably develop our own bootable tool set as well.
We're talking about that with
yeah.
someone, but
I would also want to go out and this is something that is included in D7.2 and it's in the root of your folder. You'll have debug in there, and that makes it so that anything in your D7.2 folder will be able to run because that's where all of your tools are, including D7.2 itself. So if you run debug from here, you'll be able to launch D7.2 and work with all of your tools in that toolkit and be able to clean the system fully and advancedly and what have yous.
advancedly.
Advancedly.
We'll just make up.
I like
make
that
up
word.
That's Brantley.
You understand what we're talking about.
I think that might be my new favorite word for the day.
Advancedly.
By
Um,
Brantley.
Science.
The PE one, I'd also like to point out, you don't have to boot it from a PE, so if you're one of those that likes to take hard
Yeah.
drives out and attach it to TechBit systems,
Oh
you can
yeah.
apply it to any selected folder or drive on that system that you're running it.
And that's the way to go because you don't have to screw around with PE. I mean, if you're in the shop,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a recommendation to because we've all had bootable PE CDs and stuff like that, but nobody ever wants to screw with it. So.
I do. I am the exception to that rule. I'd much rather take a CD and pop it in and wait.
he
instead
wants
of
that,
taking-
and I just want like
We
3
just
or
want it
4
fixed.
bench systems that are just for that.
I don't like
That's the
removing
difference
screws.
between us. You know, he wants CDs all over the place.
Yeah.
I try not to open up the case unless it's absolutely required.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of cases I regretted opening up.
Well, no, I mean,
well,
that is true.
Well, I mean, sometimes you
know
can
what?
find problems you didn't know existed, like blown caps and stuff like that.
Cockroaches and bugs. Oh my God! Have you?
Well,
you've seen
those are situations where those are special situations where you do keep the CDs. I
the
mean,
dead mouse. and the
I'm just talking about. And now when I was benching at that college town it was that you had systems come in like that all the time, and you use CDs, but you also had like the same, like so and so, like Dell case or whatever, with the button on the top and the button on the bottom that just separated. You also had those come in in droves, man. And similar
That's way
things
too
where
many
it's
of
just
those.
like a little pop on the top and the side falls down and the SATA's staring right at you.
You
I mean,
you know what made it so I don't want to open computers anymore, right?
No, please tell
What's
us.
that?
Sir.
Packard Bell.
Oh,
God,
yeah, man. I understand that completely.
those were.
Those
I had
cases
one.
were
I had one. I
ridiculous.
never got that case back together, and it's simple.
My friend did. My friend too is one of the early.
Slides in
Like,
that
your
one.
case. It was like
In fact, if you have a Packard Bell computer and you own a tech shop, that is a great interview question. Say, open this case.
Yeah. Good luck. I think
You're
I'd rather
Before, we might not be able to hire any techs.
Give me a hammer.
Man, I had one that I never was able to put back together. It was just, you would think it just was like 2 pieces, but
I also want to throw out there that was using our Foolish Tech or Foolish IT D7X flash drive that we gave away at Spice World. The nice bamboo here has all our programs loaded on it.
except for D7X, which didn't exist yet,
Yeah.
it still doesn't right now.
But it has D7.2, which if you go ahead and purchase a subscription through it, then you
It'll
can
be freely
get
upgraded.
D7X with it.
If you have a
Of course,
subscription
yes.
with us, you're entitled to.
It's
any-
just part of it. We're just changing the
we got a
name,
chat message.
not the
Oh.
subscription. Wow.
Hey, Mark M. How are you doing today?
Here we go.
Welcome to the
Good
chat.
morning.
Welcome, Mark.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Proctor, I think this would even be an awesome idea just to sell on the website.
That was
Yeah,
considered.
fine with
I think people
You
would
know,
enjoy it. I mean, they might have to
let
buy
me
it
tell you
for-
my experiences with that.
Yeah.
D7 flash drives,
They didn't sell too well, did they?
my bottle openers, flash drives. Well, see, here's the thing. First off, in my experience, and those are no exception, any novelty item flash drive that you get is going to have some quirks, usually. Like the bottle opener flash drive was absolutely unbreakable, and that was the best thing about it. But the problem is, he's got one right there. But the problem is, it'll break that USB port in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And that's just a usability issue. The real thing is that all of them were really, really tight to plug into any USB port.
The new one isn't
Those are just quirky because they're loose and the thing flaps around. And,
It depends on which one you get, and you can make some
well,
modifications.
yeah, some of them. But
I mean, that's what novelty items are, though.
And sell them as is a novelty item.
well, see, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. It has to be actually worth purchase, so it has to be both novelty and worth purchase. And what we need to do is, like the bottle opener flash drives, people actually want to see those again. I know. People have requested those. But the issue is that when you sell one at a time, you have to price them in such a way to make it worth I like to make it easy. I like to do, instead of the $3 shipping or $2 shipping it would be normally, to go with like the $5 or $6 priority shipping, and people like getting their stuff quick too. But
So
the other thing about that is, sorry, Brantley, just a sec. I see it. I'm going to get to him right in just a second, Mark. The other thing is that so like you have to, like, if you double the cost of that, you're already looking at a $30 item. Once I mean, at a minimum. I mean, depending on quantity we order and purchase them in. And with that and the shipping and everything else, then you've got your effort to go out there for every one person who wants one. And let me tell you, a lot of one people are going to want one, and you're going to have to bundle them with the product subscriptions. That's going to be a must. Maybe just obviously with like the annuals only, or you do maybe even raise the price just a hair. But the other for the first year or so fee, or I don't know. The other thing that you do is, but either way, it's cheaper than getting one by itself. And then the other thing that you do, well, actually, in my opinion, it was just such a hassle because so many of those things were going out the door one at a time for one person for little money, by the way. I thought the worth in it was just getting the merch out there, so it remains in people's minds. But of course they're using the tool, so that shouldn't be too hard. But people like that stuff. But I think the way to do it maybe this time, if you were to do something like that, is to only do it in a quantity, and I mean like 5 at a time purchase quantity, not like. I mean, like, if you're buying one for the crew, or you're buying like a bunch to use, to keep up with, then you're getting a bunch, you're not getting one at a time. I think it needs to be worth our while for that. Just because I'm just telling you, I remember having to do the postage and address the labels and go to the post office, and I took the cheap way out. I did the priority.
Yeah.
It was just a hassle. I was going to the post office like every day with like 5 or 6 of those things individually.
Well, that's what we have Michael for. So.
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, actually, if you're willing to, if you're willing to do it, I don't care. I just, I think it would be good to have. I'm just trying to point out, like I've been there before, and it really kind of was a hassle.
I agree with you. I like the idea of bundling it with software, maybe having a special edition package that includes the flash drives.
2 to 5 tech maybe includes what, 5 flash drives or 10 flash drives, maybe even.
We talked about bumping
like
up the price to absorb the cost of the flash drives.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm thinking like a totally special edition that comes with flash drives. Or you talked about
I know what you're talking about.
Bundle them, selling a 5-pack or whatever, or just sell the one for a really, exorbitant price.
That's our CFO talking, so don't mind him about exorbitant pricing.
So hello, and everything else. Actually, I think we need to come back to this because as long as we're still on the air and we're already over our time, we might as well be helping Mark.
Yeah, because Mark has some questions here. Mark, we're focused all on you now. I did throw in some quick links to the DMZ where you can watch the training videos that go through all of the customizations and setups and all that options. There's a full 2-hour split up segments on that. Also, I threw in the show that we did where we talked with someone else and had it all set up there. So you do have a question here. Let's read what you got there. Yes, you do want to copy your D7. So he has a copy of D7.2 customized on his computer. You'll want to copy that D7.2 folder to a flash drive, and then take that flash drive with you. When you plug it in on that customer's computer, you'll go into your flash drive, start up D7.2, and be able to run away from there with your toolkit and everything.
I want to say hello to Prune, and we have a question from Prune as well.
Yep, and hi, Prune. Yeah, you
want to take turns?
You can take that one, yeah.
We'll take turns. D7, Prune is a D7, a semi-occasional D7 premium user. Hasn't kept up with developments with the D7 world. And his question is, how's the malware fighting compared in D7.2 compared to D7? Well, Brantley can probably even talk even more at length on the specific features, but what it boils down to for me, from a development standpoint, that is most important is D7 has limitations on a few things that just were part of the code and always would be, that are not part of D7.2. Some of them are still part of D7.2, but they are not part of D7X, which is in development right now. And D7.2 users get that. In addition to, why am I looking there? And D7.2 users get that in addition to with their subscription, of course, because it's just a name change. It's not a change in your service, in your software. So it's just a major update also. But the things that are important to me to actually get to it, D7 is limited to short paths, in some cases 128, in some cases 256 characters. That applies to things like file existence checks and delete, all kinds of things that really affect its functionality and everything that is included with it. The D7.2 does resolve a bit of that, but there's also the Unicode issue. Unicode being sometimes used by malware. And I guess in your case, it's sometimes used by malware to mess with, utilities like hijack this or something like back in the day would be used, and I think didn't work well with Unicode for a time, if ever. But mostly it's just for international users, like not us on the English copies of Windows. I guess those are the most important things to me. But like having pass up to 32,727 characters. Also, D7X is going to not have issues with, things like copying data from really long paths or drilling down in a temp directory or somewhere that malware may be hiding.
I'm itching to take over.
Please do.
Your capabilities were more of like the technical programming thing.
Right, and that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. That's the perspective I wanted to provide because I knew you could do everything else.
Yeah, yeah. So the biggest thing for me, and I'm surprised Nick didn't mention this even with the programming side of technicality things, is...
Well, that's because these are the things that are on my mind right now because I'm completely fixing those totally right now. So.
Yeah. The biggest thing to me in the capabilities of malware fighting is customization options. Like, this is what your malware tab looks like now. So you have a lot more choices, a lot more options on being able to customize what you run, how you run it, when you run it, and what ways you want to run it. Things like the email alert, I don't think were in D7 original. The other biggest, best thing is we've taken the malware scan and have fully redone that and upgraded it to what we call defunct now.
But not for long, don't worry.
Yeah. But what that will do is...
Did you see Mark's question? Please keep it checked on that. He keeps right.
Yeah,
Michael.
One at a time. Defunct is malware scan version 7, and you can see a lot of your things that you would normally see in your malware scan, but then you also see this tab here that covers a lot more about in-depth in the file system. And I actually was one that got this process started is because whenever I would go through and clean up a system with D7 or D7.2 even, I was finding that I was still having to go through the file system in certain locations and clean out files, clear up things, and remove things. And I wanted the same kind of access that we had for the registry to be able to do that with the file system. And Nick took it 10 times further, made it so much more awesome by doing things like this. So now you have a file that you can check into thoroughly, and the idea with defunct is that you whitelist everything you know about, and then when you go into these folders, ideally what you'll see is nothing. So basically all you should have to do is click through here and see nothing, and then you know the system is fully clean. If you do see things like here, that may be something that you want to check more into. And he's added things for if it's in a hidden directory, it'll flag up as red. If the file itself is hidden, it'll flag up as red. Then when you click on it, you have all of these options to go over it. We have a virus total option here.
The virus total, if I'm not mistaken on that, and it's not working on certain apps, and I think that actually uses the sig check from sysinternals. We don't have an API key.
Yeah. So
anyway, I think it only checks the hash of the file against VirusTotal's database. So if VirusTotal has previously scanned that hash, it then returns the VirusTotal results. 3 of 52 or whatever it would be. to that window. And if the results do come back to that window because the hash has been previously scanned, then it will do that. Now, clicking on it should take you to the website, but
it might be how I have my virtual machine set up too. I don't know if I have everything fully configured correctly. There we go. That one worked.
Oh yeah, well, okay. So it works on some. You see, and it also, I've added the touches like making it green or red to indicate, hey, you look at this.
Yeah, and the other big thing too is the definitions that we use with CryptoPrevent are also included in here. So if it matches one of those definitions, it will alert you that it's malware here and in the file view itself here. So
yeah, and that's actually huge because it's huge because that helps you that anything that's scanned, even if it's like a file name that's whitelisted, but it's bad, if it matches that hash, it's going to pop up in that window. So that to me is huge because then it's that second opinion also.
yeah. So tons and tons and tons of options here. So much better malware scan, and this is where D7 originally started off with, was malware scan, and it's grown from there. And added everything on top of the functionality, and that's why I get so excited about Defunc and malware scan version 7, because it is what I started off cleaning systems with. That's normally, if I get to a system and it's just something simple, I'll open up D7, start Defunc, and that'll be it. I'll have the system cleaned in no time and be fully confident that it's just as good as having run all of these scanners and everything, because I've gone through all of those locations. I've disabled anything that could be malicious and actually removed the files if they are possible. So,
can I throw a few more things out there?
Yeah, go for it.
Also in Defunc, in the registry inspection, which is not much different than the malware scan, there's a few new things and a few other fixes. But the other kind of neat thing is that if you run across, like hit the run values, it won't do that on D7. But if you can find a file that it can, hit one of those files. Look what it just did with the file when you click on that. That's the registry entry, but it actually now reads the value data from that registry value and says, oh, that looks like a file. Let me see if that file exists and pull up some information on it. So it now does all of that for you with the file inspection window. And so you don't just have that in the file system, you've also got that now in the registry. And of course, you stick that with the open path button and you're going there in Explorer if you need to do something outside of D7 too, but that's rare.
Yeah. Tons and tons and tons of options there. I'd also want to go in and mention that your custom apps, all of the default apps, those are no longer being kept up to date in D7 Premium. So some of your links may get broken. You have to go in there and update and edit them manually. But we've also added a whole bunch of apps in here as well.
Yeah, and the system is not 100% compatible with the old way. It's not going to work right. I mean, it'll work, but not right. So you can't just like use those profiles in the older.
And Nick has also given you access to not all, but a lot of internal functionality so that you can add it in between your malware routine. So if you know some program that you run breaks the IP address, you can release and renew that quickly. If you know that something breaks Windows Defender, you can repair that right after it. And that's where the customization comes in, is you can really customize what you want to run, when you want to run it, how you want to run it, where you want to run it. And even further on that, your custom apps have a ton new options that you can add in, especially doing things like the work report language and options here on the persistence one, including things like chaining apps. This comes in big handy if you have to install a program and then immediately want to uninstall it after you've run it, you can create the program that installs it, runs it, then create a separate config that is just uninstalling it, and then you can chain it to that original one. It runs it sequentially. Great, 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 great options there. Just so much more you can do. We had one person that they had a d7ii subscription. Their business got on shaky ground. They couldn't afford to do the subscription anymore, so they had to cancel it. They went to back to their D7 Premium because they had a copy of that as well. Tried using it and then was just like, there's no way. It's almost impossible to go back now that I've had all this functionality and features and options. It's so difficult to go back to having a D7 Premium versus having D7 II. So we've had clients tell us directly that they figure out a way and got the premium or the D7 II subscription just because it is worth it so much comparatively to D7 Premium. They just had to have it, and they worked around it and got their copy back so that they could keep working like they wanted to. So
Yep.
very, very, very great options there.
I mean, once you explore, but the problem right now, and what we've got to get to with Mark again, is that the features are not always self-explanatory, and they're not always in the same place, and that's something that I'm really focusing on with D7X, and you can actually see earlier in this video, if you go back and look at it later, it'll be on the YouTubes. And it should be there now. It should not go anywhere, but don't rewind it because we're still talking to you. But if you go back, you can see some of the ways that we're consolidating a lot of this scattered functionality and improving the language so it's not so cryptic.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say it's so much a sad goodbye to D7 Premium, but a like welcome hello to D7 II. You can still get by using D7 Premium. Honestly, it's still a great product. It always was a great product. It's just you can do so much more, so much faster, so much better in D7 II. And that's why it has a full new revision name. And the great things about going ahead and getting it now is we're going to have D7X coming out, which Nick is probably even currently working on right now as we're speaking. So that is going to completely change everything and do just as many improvements over D7 II as D7 II was to D7 Premium. So
it's going to be stellar because this D7 look that you're used to, that you still see with D7 II a bit, despite the customization, there's like 3 columns of stuff. There's a tab that has this stuff on it, and a tab that has that stuff on it. It's that's going fully customizable. That's going away too.
So,
but guys, it will have this time, unlike D7 II, it will have a default setup in the app already.
So, Mark, you have a couple questions there, and I know it's been a couple minutes there, so I hope you watched through all that. It probably did add some things for you there too. Your couple questions, though, I do want to go ahead and point on that watching that training video in the DMZ starter section, which you have access to with your D7 II subscription, we'll go through a lot of ways to help speed up and options you can customize, and I'll show you some of those here as well, plus answer your other question there about checking for updates. We'll go ahead and do that now, actually. So you have your D7 II folder. You have it on the desktop. I just have it in support here, but same concept. You start D7 II, and it takes a second or two to start up the way I have it configured, as you can see. The biggest thing that I've found that slows me down, and I'm one that I like to open the app and start doing things right away. Others like to open the app and get all of the system info as soon as they open it. So I prefer having it set to none, and you can do that in main config. Right here, you can have your go to directly to tab. If you set that to none, it will save you on the time of loading this system info. Depends on the computer you're running it on, but that's about the time it takes to run the system info tab, and I mean that takes a couple seconds, and sometimes in fighting malware especially, every second counts, which is why I go to none myself. But you can see all this information that it is providing you, so it's doing stuff for you while it is starting up. So if it does take a little while to load for you, you can understand that it's doing things for you and getting things done. Again, that's one of the biggest things here, is so that this tool does a lot for you so that you don't have to do as much. So that's one of the things it's doing for you, is checking all of this information. The activation, checking Windows activation, is probably one of the things that takes the longest, and that may be where you're seeing a big delay. And having it so that it is set to none here will definitely increase that speed. The other thing too is if you have it set to create a info report when you start up, checking Windows activation, you can disable that here to have it start up faster, and automatically generating d7ii info reports. Don't have that checked because that will help you start up faster. You can do all of these manually when you go through. This is only for when you're loading the system info tab. If you go back and hit the rescan system info, it will check for activation there. The info reports that you can generate automatically, you would just run those directly from your audit diagnosis tab. Just run them here, and you can see the amount of time that that's going to take to generate that report. So again, those are seconds that are being added there, but I understand that seconds count. Like I said, they count the most for me. So those are some of your configuration options. Like I said, if you watch that training video, we actually go through all of these configuration settings in detail and give you some scenarios on when and where you would and wouldn't use them, how they're supposed to be used, how we recommend them to be used, how they can be used even past our recommendations. Then we also go through a lot of the setup and working with the tabs and everything in here in general, going over all that information. Honestly, I know it's 2 hours of time, but there's a lot to cover in here, a lot of stuff that you can do with d7ii, and it really is worth that amount of time, even if you just watch it back and over. Oh, so you did watch the vids. It still had questions, so we may need to update some of those. Let's move on then to the update section. Basically, for the updates, you would want to have your updates here. Normally, you would want to have all of these checked, and what we recommend is you do this before you start working on systems. There's a configuration option about having a server set up so it'll check these updates automatically. You can copy that folder, you'll know it has the latest. I won't jump into that, but I wouldn't recommend starting this every time that you run d7ii. There is a config option to start that every time you run d7ii. Wouldn't recommend that myself. But really what you would want to do here is make sure your stuff is up to date before you head out to a client's place, and you could do that for your third-party apps. Basically what that's going to do is if you're not able to get online for some reason, you'll already have those tools available to you in the third-party tools, and d7ii won't try to automatically download them. But really, you don't have to have any of these tools downloaded or updated, because when you run a program with d7ii, it will check and see when was the last time it downloaded it, and will go out and try to re-download it if it's older than a certain number, date, and time, which you can have configured here. So if patch my PC or CC Cleaner is older than 7 days old, it's going to retry downloading it again. So the third-party tools downloads, that can take a long time if you're trying to use that every time. And you really don't have to do that. That's more of so you can be prepared if you go to a client site and you need to run a tool. D7.2 won't have to automatically go out and download it. It'll all be already be available and ready, so you'll save that time on the downloading side of things, and you'll save that time on being able to run it if they don't have internet or something like that. So you won't have to fix the internet first and then run your tools. You can kind of go ahead and do it. Usually I would only run these options like maybe every week or so, depending on how often you work with it. I myself, probably if I was still doing tech day to day, would come in and make sure my D7.2 was up to date, and then run all of my updates every week or so, just so I know that the copy that's on my flash drive has all the latest programs on there and will be ready for any scenario I run into on site, which is most of the time where you would not have the internet access you would be expecting, especially if they have like the lowest possible DSL, or heaven forbid you find someone that still has dial-up. You wouldn't want to wait for some of these tools to download. So those are just some ideas and options there. So does that answer everything? You have any other questions about those more specifically? I know I probably covered a lot in a short amount of time and quickly there, so feel free to ask me to watch more. And Prune, same thing. If you have any other questions or would like to see any other features, feel free to ask us. That's why we have this show and what we're here for. So, Nick, did you have anything else you wanted to add on any of those?
Oh, wasn't paying attention at all.
Yeah.
I trust what you did was what you did, so.
Yeah, and those videos, they do cover a lot of content, and I do try to cover it slightly quickly, although at a decent pace, so it is recommended watching it a couple times. You'll probably gain a new insight every other time that you watch it at least. So, but that really is probably the best way to get comfortable and acquainted and in depth with it. We mentioned earlier in the show too that we do have premium support options if you wanted us to remote in with you and work directly with your copy of D7.2, talk to you about how you work with your business, how you do your malware scans, how you do your diagnostics, various things like that, and customize D7.2 to your specific experience. That's one of my favorite things about D7 in general entirely, has been the customization ability. You don't have to change your ways to adapt to the tool. The tool can adapt to your ways. So, various things like that.
It's a very important concept.
Yeah, and the more you use it, the more you'll get used to it. Those videos and watching our shows here will give you more and more options. And actually, I highly recommend tomorrow, if you have some time or make some time, we'll be on at 2 p.m. tomorrow.
2 p.m.
Doing the live show as well, so we'd love to hear how your experience went with it. If this is the first time you're taking it out to a client, feel free to come back here and let us know in the chat how it went and what you had problems with, what you had more questions about. We'll be more than happy to help.
And also share if you didn't have any problems and everything just went excellently, because that's what we would hope to hear too.
If you can't make 2 p.m. tomorrow, we also do 4 p.m. on Thursday and 6 p.m. on Friday, and 8 a.m. on Monday, and as you can see, 10 a.m. on Tuesday. So we've had a varied schedule, so you can try to pick and match what fits your schedule the best to be able to talk with us here, answer questions directly. So
thank you all for joining us.
Yeah, the setup is a little bit different than the videos because we got a lot of the stuff done for you already. So basically with that fully loaded version, all you really had to do was go in and set the branding and then watch the videos to kind of get the overview of what each of the options mean and what's in there, so that you can go in and customize things a little bit better and more in depth to how it suits your needs. So the fully loaded one is basically what we have here, and it has most everything set up and ready for you. Most of the options I would recommend configured already. Those videos really go back and let you know why it's configured that way, what the other configuration options are here, and various things like that that you can do past what we have fully loaded for you. So yeah. I don't want to lose these flash drives, so give me a second here. All right. Yep, that's perfect. And actually, dang, I need to remember that. I have to edit that file right now. Any other questions, ideas, comments, things, who's its and whatnots?
They have just requested a guy on the Technibble thread said it would be great if you came back as a paid advertiser and posted here the new info about D7X.
In the Technibble?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw my post.
Not yet.
Oh,
No.
good. We're gonna get more from Mark. No, I just posted that. You know, I was going to go over the D7X features, and I started writing about them, and then I realized this is kind of almost an advertisement. You know, the way that this is going to read. So I cut everything, and I just quit working on it, and I put a question like if mods have an issue, because I know some mods are reading the thread and have posted in it. So. So I was just waiting for one of them to go, oh, no problem, and then I would want to just start a new thread
that goes in and discusses everything.
Right, because I'm a stickler about stuff like that. This thread's not about that. This thread's kind of like a complaint, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not anymore, but it's just got a bad face on it, and I kind of want to. More people will pay attention. I mean, honestly, yeah, more people will pay attention if it has a better name to the thread, like, oh, I don't know what it's actually about.
Okay, I am now.
Sorry, my computer just flickered off because I don't have a battery backup. I'll be back in a second.
Wow.
Our power was flickering. The light flickered and scared the crap out of me.
Oh, that sucks.
But mine's good.
Where, Mark, where does it create this file? File? Was it like a text file or? Oh, and you know, Brantley would actually be the person to answer the question because I'm pretty sure obviously that's something. That sounds like to me company name D7ii. That sounds to me like a template of some sort that he may have put in there for some customization that you haven't found to modify. That's what it sounds like to me, but I am not familiar actually with that pre-configured setup that he did. Let's wait for him to get back with his.
Yeah, definitely there, Mark. I'm sorry to jump in, John, but I think that's exactly. I think you're exactly right with that. And as far as the neutron clock thing, that's just a startup option for the session.
Yeah, and that's when and that's actually when it had occurred to me. The neutron thing is a custom app, and it's configured to run. And I think like the first time it runs, it'll create a config file, and it'll just wait for you to close it or something. But on subsequent runs, it should close itself after correctly setting the time. It's one of those things that he put in that config.
Yeah, but we're going to go over that. In fact, I've been recommending a couple of improvements we might be doing to that customized version moving forward. We can discuss those with him too, and maybe just to clean it up a little bit better, because I have had a couple of issues with some customers with it. Well, it's certainly optional, Mark. You know, again, that was we'll talk with Brantley regarding why he wanted to put that into that configuration, and we'll show you how to disable that. It's really just a checkbox under the config, I believe, under either the session startup or just the main config, the first config page there. Let me actually confirm that. Where were we? Behavior startups, let's see. Well, there's this clock stuff, but let me see. Yeah, so what you'll see, basically, Mark, here we go. Okay, so I understand. So if you go under session, if you go under main config and then go under the session tab, you'll see where the company name, d7ii, that's the shortcut that it's creating. Okay? And this is basically you're supposed to, or the thought was that you were supposed to go in there and change that to what you wanted them to see. As far as the MVCS, that's Microsoft Visual C, something or another. I'm not clear where that information is coming from, Mark, but again, under the session stuff, the company name space d7ii, where you're getting that file name, that's the d7ii shortcut that's supposed to be created. And you can control that under the session tab. And you'll see there's a bunch of URLs and things there. You'll want to update them with your company information. But basically flip through all those tabs, and anything that you see in there that has company name, you want to generally replace with your company's name, as I think the idea with what Brantley was doing.
There we go. Now I'm back. What did I miss?
You'll have to go back and watch the recording.
Ah! Now I need a battery backup. I should have had that already. I have that, but I put it on my snake cage instead of my computer.
Snakes like battery backups, I guess.
But I wanted to make sure the lights didn't flicker on and off in cases like we
you
just
don't
had
want them
here.
cold. That's a good thing to have for a reptile cage. I wish that would have been nice when I had them.
This girl was out of town, had her computer with her. That's the reason we couldn't get none of that done.
All right.
Okay.
So, did y'all answer all his questions in there? I saw he has quite a few.
Load up what you need in the car.
Proctor, you're unmuted.
Sorry.
And don't let it happen again.
Where'd Michael go? He was just.
I'm here. I'm here. I'm still here.
Did we go over all those questions that he had in the chat?
Mark had? Yeah, I believe so. So basically, we were waiting for you to come back. So he has another question, Mark does. The MVCS, the MVCS is my company. Okay, so that makes sense. Oh, of course, Mark. Okay, I was thinking that was Visual C or something, but we had the question about how you had configured basically the d7ii and where you have company name written in there, and we was wondering why there was a file on his desktop called company name d7ii, and it's because that's what you generically named it for the shortcut in the customized version of d7ii. And he was asking about the neutron clock thing. Maybe you could talk to him about your kind of what your goal with the customized version and where you wanted to go with that and why Neutron's running at startup, and maybe go over what necessarily needs to be changed as far as getting D7.2 functional for a company, getting them set up to run it, because there's a lot of those tabs where you have to go in and replace company name with the actual company name, and I just wanted to point it out to anybody listening, and specifically to Mark, obviously.
Yeah. Hold on a second here.
Could you, if you could do that, and I'm also chatting with somebody as well on the side.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen here again, and let me see if we can get that version set up here. I believe I have that one here. And that's an older one. It's the newer one. Yeah. All right, so load up that version here. So on that page where you downloaded the full d7.2 additional options, I tried to list out all the sections and what you would want to change under each of those tabs for each of those items to be changed. So definitely go back and double check here if we don't cover them all here. I'm pretty sure I got them all covered here as well. So that will help you on getting that set up. Again, that pretty much sets it up so that you have everything set up and ready to go for you here. But if we go into the config, that's going to be where most all of these things are. Obviously, you want to set your time zone for where you're at. I don't think I even have that on the option here. Yeah, no, I have it. Time zone set there. So that's one of the things you want to customize, is where you have the time zone set.
And again, Mark, that's the shortcut. MVCS D7.2 is the shortcut for your D7.2 copy. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
So it has create a desktop shortcut to D7.2. If you had changed company name here to your company name, that's what would show up as the shortcut here on your desktop to D7.2. So that's where you'd want to change that, and I do have that listed here. And basically this is just a shortcut to the D7.2 wherever it's running. So if it's running from your flash drive, when you start it on that customer's computer, it automatically puts a shortcut to that location so you can quickly start it from the desktop. Because I mean, if it reboots for some reason, or you close out for some reason, you need to get back to it quickly, the desktop is pretty quick access to be able to get to it quickly. And you can do things like right click on it, open the file location to get to that folder really quickly. That's why I like doing it that way. You can also have it so that the shortcut just goes straight to the folder instead. So the other places you might want to replace are going to be your optional URL. This is basically just something, if you have a page ready and open, whenever you close out a D7.2, it'll pop up that page using their default browser. This is really good for working in remote situations and places. The local D7.2 folder, instead of storing it on the desktop or in a temp folder, basically when D7.2 needs to work with certain files on the local system, it has to copy it to the local hard drive to be able to work correctly. It can't run from a flash drive network location, any place like that. So this just kind of gives it branding so that you know where it's running from And it also makes it so if you happen to leave it on the customer's computer, they know it was from your tools and things are in that folder. So that's why we did that there. URL or lock screen, basically there's a lock screen, so you can lock the screen here, or you have a config option that you can use to double click the system tray and it'll lock the screen. That makes it so that if you're working on several computers in an office and you don't want those people working on their computer jumping on or interrupting anything you're doing on there, you can lock the screen from them, and then you have to type in a password to be able to get back into it, and that's going to be your technician password. Past that, you can have a picture or a web page show when that happens, so that's why that one's customizable. Your thing with Neutron starting up, that's in here, and basically I had it configured so that at the start of a session, whenever you first ran d7ii on a computer, you have a couple things run immediately. First, it creates a system restore point, so you know that that is the point that you started working on d7ii, so you can restore it back to there if you need to for some reason. Also, it runs the sync time, because this is the most likely cause of things with SSL security certificates and Windows Update issues, is if their time isn't set correctly, it's going to have problems with both of those. So d7ii automatically checks your time zone that you have set. The sync time makes sure that that time and date are correct as for that time zone. So those are, I feel it's an important thing to run. If you don't like it, you can just come into the start session and remove that app from here. Not a big deal, not a big issue. You can do it however you like. KillEmAll is a zero access check. It's a little outdated, but if it does happen to find something, you definitely want that removed anyway, so that's why that one's in there, just to give a few options on that session startup side. The other locations you'd want to customize would be in the reports. You want to customize your company name so that it appears in the same folder that you have for your local d7ii operating directory. And here you want to customize it to be the same as this report section, so that the shortcut on their desktop, like this report folder here, will go directly to that location. Nothing to customize in browser search. The OS customization, you'll just want to go in and update these. These are what appear when you right click on system properties. You can have it show up in here. These are only applied if you do your apply OS branding at the start of a session, or if you do the branding function internally, so you can apply the OS branding in one of any of your columns there.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that, Mark. Getting used to it. Yeah, it takes a hot second, but I think you will find that you don't have to change your processes much. Just just get comfortable with the d7ii and where everything is within it.
Yep. There's a couple other in the server's email. You would want to customize those. FTP if you have that set up so that you can store reports. Otherwise, you could use dCloud. The admin is where I was saying you can have a system set up so that it automatically updates d7ii, so you have a folder that's ready for you every morning that you know has everything up to date. And personalize, you would want to go in and change the title bar so that it has like your phone number, your web address. And the reason we do that is so that a customer looking over your shoulder, they can see your phone number, your web address, and it's just kind of like subliminal advertising for yourself there. and then of course change all of your logo icons to be the same. If you do have that fully loaded copy and you had to change the registration key and serial number, make sure you go ahead and change the technician password, because that is, again, what would happen. You would have to type in if you use the lock screen or if you use the in-session close and password protect this app. So just, I would go ahead and double check and retype in the technician password if you haven't used it. That's also what encrypts your config files when they get stored on our dCloud or when you store them on your FTP server. So, all right, I think I got everything covered there, and all of that was listed on this. It's just not explained to what you're changing there. So hopefully that added some additional reasons on why you would want to change each one of these items, and all of those are covered in those videos as to what those options are, why they're actually there, and various things you can do with them in that training video for D7ii. So,
thank you, Brantley. That was a good explanation.
thank you. All right, all right, all right. Any other questions? Mark, you got us here. We actually probably do want to wrap up our show here, so I'm sure you have some work you probably need to get done there. So, but if you do have any other questions or concerns or comments that might be quick, well, feel free to go ahead and answer them here. And yeah, definitely watch those. And yeah, like I said, we'll be back again tomorrow at 2 p.m., Thursday at 4 p.m., and Friday at 6 p.m. If one of those times is more convenient for you, we'll be here so that you can chat with us again. Let us know what your experience was working with it that day, if you've run into any new questions, problems, and anyone out there, if you have any concerns, things you want to talk about, we'll be here at those times. Mondays are 8 a.m., Tuesdays are 10 p.m. So we made it varied for you, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Yeah, so good show today, I think. We covered a lot. We went over dBug,
all sorts of things,
the new KillEmAll and the upcoming licensing terms for it, d7ii, how it can better perform over malware removal against D7 Premium, and
customized version of D7ii we went over.
In D7ii, so tons and tons and tons. Good show.
Yeah, thanks so much for participating, guys. Particularly, Mark, with your questions. That's what makes the show great. And we are here on
shout out to Prune too. He helped as well.
Prune. That's right. I was forgetting that. Thank all of you for participating, and we love it. And if you could just bring more questions to the table, it's a great way to get free support from us, and it helps enlighten the rest of our community out there. And I'd like to believe we are a strong, close-knit community, and we can all benefit from each other. So, yeah.
So,
and you get some free advertising for your company name, MVCS.
We'll be posting the YouTube from today afterwards. Also recommend going back and watching the past couple days. We've gone over a good overview of D7ii with a client that purchased it and just never got around to using it.
Yeah, that was great.
I gave them a quick drop-in rundown over some of the great fancy features we have in there. Highly recommend watching that one. Plus we've had one on dSupportSuite, another one of our products, and CryptoPrevent, another one of our products. So highly recommend checking out those on our YouTube channel. And yeah, awesome, Mark M. Thank you again for asking your questions and being here for us to help and support. That's why we started this show and have wanted to do this show, and we'll go on as long as we can doing the show. So
yeah, till we drop dead. But yeah, guys, please come join us. And the times are up there. And I know things have changed in the past, but check us out at foolishit.com/live for the schedule. And we've again made it varied for anyone around the world to hopefully be able to join us. Doesn't matter where you may live. Hopefully, there's a time there that'll work. And we'll hopefully see a bunch of you tomorrow as well.
Yep.
And our DJ for tomorrow is?
We'll have a mix.
Nick?
No, I think I don't want to host on the Mondays. I'm hosting on Fridays, so we'll figure all that out tomorrow.
We'll figure all that out tomorrow.
Tomorrow's show will be brought to you by someone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Thanks
think
to all of our sponsors.
Proctor and Tank/Johnny still have to pick their days if they're going to do Wednesdays or Thursdays between the three of them. So
I will say tomorrow I'm having lunch with my dad, so I may or may not be back right at 2.
Okay, not a problem. So it'll be either Johnny or Proctor hosting tomorrow, even though obviously we're not good at letting host. So.
Yeah, no, that was not as successful as I would have
They will
liked
be
it. But maybe we
started.
can entitle a
And
show.
the show will go where it will.
Yeah, we can entitle it something maybe more specific to the individuals, and we hope to have a book reading and some other conversations as well. So we can do a little bit of a variety here as well, folks, but we do want it to be business. But if there is, we know a lot of you share our interests, and so please bring those to our attention as well, because every once in a while it's good to know what people do when they're not teching, and yeah, we like to involve that too. We like to do the whole package for techs, mental to the physical to the everything in between.
I have a good show for Friday, so if you can make your side for Friday, because I got a good thing to set up and test, and will help us here as well.
So we're getting the poll put in place, and Brantley will be able to demonstrate on that for all of you on Friday.
That's your deal, and we're going to turn your
That was
video.
awful.
We're going to turn your video on for that one. So.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
Thanks,
so
guys.
We are way past time. Thanks everyone for watching. It'll be posted up on our YouTube channel. You can watch it there. Again, join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. for our live show again. We'll be here ready and waiting for questions, anything. Otherwise, we gotta go get some work done.
Yeah,
Later,
man.
everyone.
Trying to code here.
Peace be with you all.